Once you've created code in an Android app to package up HTTP parameters and then send those parameters with a GET request, it takes just a little bit more code to send the same data with a POST request. A POST request and a GET request are different. In a GET request, parameters are appended to the URI, but in a POST request, they're placed into the body of the request, and so you need a different programming structure. I'm working in a version of the project called postparams, which picks up where the previous project left off. And I'll start in my main activity. I'll go to the code where I'm designating the request method. Currently, I've set it as GET. That's at line 62 of this class. And I'll change it to POST. And that's all I need to do in the main activity. All of the details of how the parameters are being sent will be handled in the HTTP Manager class. In HTTP Manager, at lines 15 to 17, I'm appending the parameters to the URI only if the method matches GET. To send the same parameters in a POST request, I'll add code here, after I've created my connection and set the request method. Once again, I'll start with the if code template, and I'll set the condition to p.getMethod.equals_post. It takes about 4 lines of code to add the parameters to the body of the HTTP request. Start with con.setDoOutput and set a value of true. That allows you to output some content to the body of the request. Next, create something called an output stream writer. This is a member of the java.io package. I'll name the new object writer, and I'll instantiate it with a constructor method call. And then I'll call a method of the connection called getOutputStream. So I'm creating a writer object that can write to the output stream and send information to the connection. Next, I'll use the writer object and call its write method. And I'll pass in my encoded parameters. This is the custom method that I added to my request package class. It's getting the parameters in exactly the same format as for a GET request, with the ampersands and the equal signs all in the same places, and with the values encoded to send over the web. But now, instead of appending that to the URI, we're placing it in the body of the request. Finally, call a method called flush from the writer object. That ensures that anything that you've written out to memory will be flushed and sent to the server. And that's it. You're done. You've now completed the request, and when you start working with your input stream reader, it will complete the request and you'll get content back. So I'll save everything and run the app in the emulator. And now I get back post request, and once again I get exactly the same parameter values back. It's up to the web service creator to determine whether you need to send in a GET request or a POST request. And you'll need to look at your web services documentation to figure out what's needed. But you now have all the code you need to make either type of request. Be sure to always use the URL encoder class to encode the values to make sure they're getting to the server correctly. But now any web service that expects simple parameters with GET or POST can be used with an Android app.